Welcome everybody to the Culture Shock Podcast. This is your boy Pat Bayless. I'm in the building. This is a special episode, a Brotherhood episode, a family episode. So I'm here in the building with my actual brother, Travis. Big Time Bertel's in the building.
What's
First off, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I know you a busy young man. You got a lot of things going on in your schedule.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely busy.
But I'm happy that you're here. This is an episode that I've been wanting to do since I created this podcast. And it just lined up perfect. So I'm happy that you're here. It's interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. All right, so even just that, going into high school is a different beast, right? Like you're kind of learning yourself. You're kind of learning the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
You took a liking to dance.
Yeah.
Where did that inspiration come from? Was it a person? Was it an event you went to? Where did that all start in high school? Or was it before high school and then it just grew?
Well, I think when we were growing up, I mean, we used to dance in the living room all the time and like put on performances for, the family and whatever. And I used to always just do it as like a joke, but I think eventually it just became serious. And in high school, it was just like there was a dance off at our high school. So someone asked me to do it. And I was like, you know what? Like, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And I ended up like really falling in love with actually dancing. And then I had some friends ask me to join a studio. I joined a studio. And then I started going into competitive dance. And I don't know, it just kind of took off unexpectedly, I would say, because I grew up more doing sports. And then dance just came into my life, and I knew like right away that was going to be the thing that I was going to do kind of for the rest of my life.
That's dope. Was there any, may it be the first time or consecutive times, was there any anxiety, nerves, doubts, any of that came your way that you had to kind of absorb and then conquer? Or did you really go out there? Because I met people that literally, they do a certain thing and they go out there and they don't feel that. Not much at all. Was it heavy for you, or was it just one of those things where you just did it?
I think just as a person, I'm not much of a talker, or I'm not much of a expressive person. I'm kind of monotone, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I started dancing, I realized that was my language. So I don't think I really ever had a moment where I stepped on stage and it didn't feel authentic and real. I kind of knew the first time I stepped on the stage that was how I spoke about things. That was how I dealt with things. And, there was no really like awkward moment from it. Just, it was natural right away.
Right. And for people that don't know, just to kind of give a broad description, like me and you are 8 years apart.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that goes into differences in age. Like me being 8, you being 0, me being 16 in a certain light, you being 8, you're still a kid, you going through stuff. Me being 24, and people that knew me at 24, I was having a good old time. and you being 16, like I said, starting doing the dance off and kind of finding your way. Not everybody, but for us, I would say, if we're both being honest, we were close, but we never got to share certain things because of how much age played a part.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So like seeing you dance was like, all right, when I first seen you, I'm like, all right, he likes to do it. This is how I kind of looked at it. I was like, all right, he likes to do it. And then you got into, I forget, it was Michelle Ferrara's dance.
Yeah.
You got into that, and I was like, oh no, he's taking it for real. Yeah. And then as you progressed, I was like, oh nah, he's really, like, this is really his shit. You know what I'm saying? So, was it when you got into Michelle Ferrara's, what would they call it, academy or school?
Yeah, it's Michelle Ferrara's Dance USA.
Okay. Was that the moment that you was like, because you said you wanted to do it for the rest of your life, but was that the moment where you said, I could step out and branch off eventually where I could do what she's doing?
Honestly, I don't think I ever really had the thought of doing exactly what she was doing. I think I was just in my moment trying to learn and absorb as much as possible. And at that time, I wanted to, head out to LA and go to the city and try new things and try and like go as a dancer rather than a choreographer. I just kind of stepped into the choreography light after. So I think things started to fall into my lap and things started to get put in place at, just the right times. And I don't think I ever really had the motive to be like, oh, this is exactly what I'm going to do. It kind of came to me, you know.
I know you left for LA, so kind of explain to people what that LA experience was like. Like, what made you go to LA, and then also explain to people what that LA experience was like and what made you eventually come back.
LA was interesting for sure. I wanted to go to LA to pursue a career in dancing. I got to take from some of, the best choreographers in the industry and things like that. So I have no regrets in doing it. But it definitely wasn't my cup of tea as far as like people out there and things like that. Like, I think that it's a very cutthroat and interesting vibe, but I don't regret, like I said, I don't regret going out and experiencing that. And then I ended up, after like a few months, I ended up like just calling mom and dad, and I was like, yeah, this is not gonna work for me. So I ended up coming back, and at that time, I wasn't looking to become a choreographer or anything like that. So I ended up coming back, and my mother was like, you need to get a job. And I was like, okay.
I don't want to get a job.
Yeah. So I went and worked at Burger Shack in Coram for a day, and didn't work out at all. Didn't love it. And I told her that I was going to become a choreographer because, for some reason, I just wanted to create. And the next week, I would say, like, someone hit me up to sub at a studio. And from there, like, I got hired at a few different places, and it's just always the running joke, because she told me that, I was going to be working at the library or I was going to be working at Burger Shack, and I ended up making, what I wanted to happen. Right. So.
And I think that what's funny is that you always kind of been like that, even since like a kid. Like for me, growing up, it was like I love baseball, so I love sports, and that's what I played. And I remember Dad at the time trying to put you in that stuff, and you liked it to a certain extent. But I remember the one story about, I think it was raining out or something like that, and you were playing the outfield, and he said he looked down, he looked up, and he seen you just walking off the field. Yeah, and he was like, "You can't do that." And
it was like, too cold. I was not staying. And there was no way I was staying. It was freezing. Right.
So like that's kind of always been in you to be like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not gonna do it.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely have a stubborn hard head when it comes to that kind of stuff, and like it goes the same vice versa. If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. So that's kind of what happened when I came back. I was like, I want to become a choreographer, and I made it happen. That's just kind of always how I've been.
Right.
So
now something that is very personal, but I think you're at the age where you're very comfortable with opening up about it. I don't know if you ever opened up about it. Was kind of coming out to the world and expressing, what you liked and everything like that, right? How hard was that to do? Because certain people just don't understand certain things, or and not even in that. It could be in anything, right? And like people that deal with like rape or deal with stuff like that, like it's hard to tell the world certain things because they're worried about people judging them. Was it hard for you? Was that ever like an internal struggle to tell people, or was what was the moment that changed where you just like, you know what, I am who I am, and y'all gonna have to accept it regardless?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely difficult because I grew up kind of knowing a certain way for so long. So I just followed that way and followed that path. And then eventually I, started to figure myself out a little bit. And it wasn't right away that I was like, I'm going to come out and just like tell everyone that, I'm gay or whatever. So it definitely took some time, but I ended up it was so necessary, and I ended up, as soon as I came out, just like jolted on the path of the way that I was supposed to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And like it didn't just change my sexuality, like it changed my life,
Right.
like it really put me on in the right direction. So
Did you lose a lot of people that were in your corner at the time? Did you gain more people? Was there ebb and flow of emotion from people?
um no, I would say if anything it was more gain
That's
than
beautiful.
lose. Which, I'm fortunate in that way, because there's a lot of people that have the opposite experience,
Right.
and they lose people. But I would say I definitely gained a lot of people, because as soon as I came out, like I said, I became myself, and so many people were attracted to that instead of the person that I was like trying to be.
The facade, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the facade that I was
Mhm.
putting on or trying to be or whatever. The second you're authentic about something is the second that people connect to you. It's like a natural gravitation. So,
That's
yeah.
well said. That's really well said. What was because we have a good family where, for the most part, our family is accepting
Yeah.
of pretty much anything, anyone that comes to the door. Um, what does having a family like ours do for you also with jolting you into the next steps and paths? Is it kind of just you know when you take the next step, it's not gonna be somebody telling you negative things, or
Yeah.
is it more deeper than that?
I would say it's definitely nice to have a supportive environment, not only in, the the sense of me being, gay and different, quote unquote, from other people, but just like in the sense of the career path that I chose and things like that. Like, I have to say, our mother's super supportive
Mm-hmm.
of my career and like has helped me with a lot of things. And I don't like to ask for help. But she definitely naturally is just a giving
Yep.
person. So it's nice, not only her, but like everyone, to just have a supportive environment. And, I don't know. I think it's
No,
great.
I agree, and I always say that about mom. I would say, and I would always quote unquote say, it's not because she's our mom, but
Yeah.
she's probably the most giving, biggest hearted person I've ever come across
Yeah.
in life.
Sometimes too
Too much,
giving.
yeah, too
Yeah.
much. Where she's almost taken advantage of in a
Right.
way. But regardless, she seems to get more blessed than not for that reason.
Yeah.
You know, um, also our father for that we had for a long time, he was supportive. You know, he was more of like the hard ass with certain things. Like if you wanted to do certain things, he's gonna be the one that has a little bit more hesitation
Yeah.
than our mother would. But me and you both went through a traumatic thing as kids, young adults, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, the day that he was diagnosed with cancer,
Yeah.
the worst form of cancer, colon cancer, stage 4. I don't know where you were at. I remember I was with my son, and my girlfriend at the time. Uh, and it didn't feel real.
Yeah. No. I was at my friend's house,
Mm-hmm.
and, mom called and we got the news, and I was just kind of like, okay. Like, I didn't really know what to say.
Right.
But I definitely I don't think it registered until the actual experience of him passing happened,
Mm-hmm.
I think just throughout the whole thing it was like, oh, he's sick, but is he sick? Like
Right.
there's this like form of reality that you can't put your finger on when something traumatic like that happens. So, I mean, I remember the day vividly for
Right.
sure when we found out that he had cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and like I it was not real. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. You kind of go through the whole process of you seeing a change, especially like our father. He was a big dude,
Yeah.
so you see the change. You see him getting skinnier. You see the moments of doubt or maybe weakness
Yeah.
where we never really saw that before
Yeah.
as kids. We didn't see our father ever be weak. he was the type that he got a damn gash on his leg and he not gonna go to the damn hospital. He'd be
Right.
like, bro, go to the damn hospital.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to see that was definitely a reality check. Uh, what was those days like? Because he passed away in hospice.
Mm-hmm.
So what were those days like leading up to when he passed away? Do you remember those days? Do you remember your feelings?
Yeah, I remember a few days before he passed, like he pulled me and mom into a room, and he had told us like, he fought for so long and he's like, he's done,
Right.
like I hate to say giving up because it sounds so negative, but he was done,
Right.
So I do remember that, and I remember just feeling again not any sort of reality. I think it was just like, okay,
Numbing?
another yeah, it's very numb the whole time. Another like notch on the belt, but I don't think at that time any of us were actually dealing with what was actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that day was rough, and then we had, the other days leading up to it, and just like seeing him in the living room where like he was so lively,
Right.
seeing him go the opposite direction was a very interesting feeling for me. But he was definitely till the end like always positive
That's
and
strong. Right.
always was trying to make people laugh even on the deathbed, which is
Right.
crazy.
Right.
But I think that is such an admirable trait for me that I need to take with me in my life, because when things get hard, I tend to, shut down or get negative or just not, you know, stay positive and go down the right path. Sometimes I'll go the opposite direction, and then I think about a moment like that and I'm like, okay, like if that's a part of my blood, I think I can, take on that trait that he has.
So that's my next question. What did you pull from both of our parents? Like, what would you say is one trait that you pulled that you just learned from growing up and seeing that you always want to use going forward?
I would say from our mother, I am not as giving as she is, because I don't think anyone is,
Yeah.
but I think I'm giving in the sense of in my career and with certain things like that. I give a lot of myself to other people, because that's just a part of my job, and I think that definitely stems from learning and seeing how giving she is in our family and to all of the people that, are lucky enough to know her. And then, I don't know, I guess with dad, like, just the actual life lessons that he, like, gave us, like, the things about money and the things, about just being a man,
I wish
and,
I
like,
listened to him with some of this shit, man.
yeah. Just the things about being a man and like how to treat people and being kind and just so many things like that. I feel like I really got to take from him, and I'm definitely grateful for all that. So
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing. I think me and you are we have similarities and we're different. But with those things I kind of feel like we're the same. Like we still are respectful
yeah,
because of our, both of them, but our dad really, like, you better hold the door open.
yeah,
You better say thank you.
right,
You better,
right,
and I noticed that, like, people are like, "Oh, you're so respectful," but to me, it's like that's how you're supposed to be.
yeah. It's just normal.
Yeah, it's normal. And then like with mom, it's the giving, and also wanting to see people. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
that kind heart, like
Yes.
a
Yeah.
good soul.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
So
want to see people happy.
right, you want to see people happy. You're a natural, in a way, a pleaser.
Yeah.
It's just
Which is a good thing and a bad thing.
right.
Like people pleasing is something that I think is a flaw,
Mm-hmm.
personally, and I do know that I feel like I get that from her for sure. It has its good points, but people pleasing definitely doesn't get you very far. Um, Learning, like I feel like I'm in, this part in my life where I'm 23 right now, so I'm really trying to like figure everything out. And in your 20s, as most people know, it's a whirlwind and it's crazy, and you start to really understand the real world. And people pleasing is probably the biggest lesson that I've had to learn recently, especially in my job and things like that. So just, doing things for yourself
Right.
is the most important thing. So
Nah, I definitely agree with that. Being now where you're at, you say you're 23. You're I mean, in my opinion, you're an accomplished dancer slash choreographer. Like
yeah,
you have your own business, right?
yeah.
Before we get into the name of the business and really where you're, all of that good stuff, what trials and tribulations do you kind of deal with being your own boss now
Mhm.
and being your own owner now? And also, have you used outlets like uh therapy or books or anything of that nature to not escape your problems, but to heal what you're dealing with?
Yeah. So, I mean, as a choreographer and things like that, like that has become natural to me for the past few years, and I just like ran with that, and then I decided that I was going to open my own business and, start my own dance studio. Um just randomly, like kind of out of the blue, but I'm very grateful that I decided to do that cuz it definitely has forced me to grow up quicker. Um and it, like we were talking about people pleasing, like that's definitely one of the biggest things about being a boss is you're never going to please everyone,
Right.
and that's definitely been hard. I would say having to always be creatively on, um as a business owner as well, is a super difficult task. Like during the day, I'm dealing with, like business things and, what we need to do for to pull more clients in and things like that. And then at night, I have to be in the room teaching, and I have to be
So,
on creatively, and I have to, you know, flip that switch and be like, okay, how am I going to create the best thing that, I've created yet? And it's definitely a tough task to do, but I would say it's just making me stronger in the process mentally. So,
no, I like that. That's so. What's the outlet point though, right? Like, what is when you're not on and you have those off days? What's your go to reset? Because, like you said, you can't really have those days where you're not creatively
right,
juiced up.
right.
So, what's like that outlet or the go to thing you do to recharge?
I would say there's a few things. Simple stuff. Like I like to sometimes just like drive, listen to music, and
Mm-hmm.
like go see a sunset, just things at that you think are so simple as an artist. I can see something different, maybe going to see a sunset or reading a book. Like I can read something and just feel it and see it in a different light than I feel like other people
Mm-hmm.
do. And that's definitely a gift that I have. So I would say those two things probably bring me back, or just sometimes when I'm in a funk with dance, like I gotta just push myself to dance more. Like that's also a thing. I gotta like go and like go to the studio and just be like, I just have to like dance this off, and that's the greatest thing about dance is it is a full release. So I've I would say those three things, and going to the gym recently,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, the gym is always a release for people too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your business. Let's talk about um everything that you're doing. So let everybody know the name of the business. If you want to know where it's located, your
Yeah.
Instagram page. Let them know all about that.
Yeah, it's Blueprint Dance Project. It's located in Issatalkit. It's a dance studio, competitive dance studio for ages like 5 to 18, 20. Focus a lot on training, getting kids competition ready, and it's just so much more than dance for me. I kind of created this to give kids an outlet, give anyone an outlet to come in, just train. And, like I just said, the release of dance has always been the most inspiring thing for me, and how I speak on things that I don't want to verbally speak about. And I like to instill that into my students, and uh, make everyone feel comfortable and welcome and things like that. So if you are 5 to 18 years old and you are interested in dancing competitively and you live on Long Island, hit me up for sure, because this Blueprint Dance Project on Instagram, or you could follow me on Instagram personally at @TravisBertel_.
Perfect. What's the hardest thing about getting dancers from, whether it be different states or different areas that's not Long Island? How challenging is it? And what's like the process?
Well, I would say with the business that I have, it's like, it's a hardcore program. So they're there multiple days throughout the week. So you don't usually get people that are necessarily outside of a certain radius, because no one's going to drive,
Right.
that crazy amount. But it's definitely a difficult task just in general to pull new clients in, because a lot of dancers start somewhere, and once they start somewhere, they don't want to leave. You build a family, you build a bond with people, and which is great. But I think that there are a lot of things that I bring to the table at the studio that a lot of other places don't. I don't want to be shady.
Yeah,
a lot of
talk your shit. Yeah.
like a lot of other places don't touch on, or have the full knowledge to touch on, or experience to touch on. And the people that I bring in, like choreographers and things like that, like there's a lot of good experience to come from what I'm providing. And we just started up in September, so we're starting off at a good pace. Like we already almost have 40 kids, so I'm definitely happy with where we're at. But I'm excited to see how people can find us and connect with us in the future. So
what's your goals for, like you said, future? What's your goals for 2024 as far as personal side and business side?
Goals. I would like to experience more dance for myself. I would like to try some new auditions, new jobs, things like that. I actually recently just got signed with an agency in the city, MSA. So I recently just did a job with the artist AJR doing a music video for them. So I would like to experience more things like that. And as much as I want to experience it for myself, I think one of the biggest things is I like to experience those things so I could bring that into my business and bring that to my kids and bring that experience and knowledge to them to grow from and, learn from, as well as myself. And then as far as my business, I just hope to, inspire as many people this year going out, especially on my first season at competition. The pieces that we're creating right now are super dope, and I'm really excited for people to see a new avenue in dance that I'm gonna create in this little world of Blueprint. So, just simple goals right now, nothing crazy. I'm trying to stay present, and yeah.
So, when is the next like big show or big
competition?
Yes,
I mean, our season rolls through February to June, but I think what I'm most excited for right now is my first show that I'm gonna put on.
Well, you do everything.
What?
You do everything in that?
So I'm gonna direct the show, like to choreograph things. Other people will have some choreography pieces in it, but it will essentially be a show that I put together with the kids, bringing out new work that we're not doing just at competitions and stuff like that. But I think there's something so special about doing a show not for competition or not to do something to beat other people or whatever. I think it's just to share. And we're going to have our first show in June. So lots of preparation for that on the rise. But I'm excited for that, I think, the most.
That's dope. Tell everybody one more time where they can find you at when it comes to business name, Instagram.
Business is Blueprint Dance Project on Instagram, blueprintdanceproject.net on the web. How do you even say that?
Web
Safari?
browser?
I don't even know. You know what I'm saying.
That's old people stuff.
Yeah. I just know Instagram. So,
Right.
And then personally, Travis Bertel _ and yeah.
Well, I just want to say before we do get out of here, personally, me and you've been through life.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't get to tell you all the time, and I know people don't always get to tell people all the time. The one thing we got to tell our father, which is unique but sad,
Yeah.
is we was able to tell him everything we ever wanted to tell him. We was able to have conversations about future stuff that we need to know from him, right? Like we was able to really touch down. So for me, as I went through that, I've always tried to now, as an older person, tell people how much I care. So for me to you, I'm proud of you for what you're doing. You're doing it not only for yourself, but you're doing it for your family. Whether you see that or not, you truly are doing it for your family. You put on and you make the great impression for not only you, but all of us at the end of the day. The whole family proud of you. I'm proud of you. You inspire me as a man. Now, I'm older than you, but you inspire me. You put together a business, but it could damn near turn into an empire. How much work you put in.
That's the goal.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you've done all that. I'm proud of you. Like I said, it's been 8 years. It's been 8 years in gap when it comes to, how close and bond that we have. So anything that I've ever done or not done, I personally want to apologize because I don't know, right? Because like you said, you don't express it, and I haven't expressed that.
Yeah.
Even though we see each other and everything is great,
Right.
there's still a lot that always needs to be mended between men, between humans, between everything. So I do apologize for that, but I'm super proud of you. I know that it's going to take off. I already see it. You know what I'm saying? We pray on it, So I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I'm proud of you. The family's proud of you. People around you are proud of you. Whether they tell you or not, you see it by the energy they give back to you.
Yeah.
And I love you, dude. And that's it.
I love you too. And I'm proud of you. I mean, come on, look at this. You got a little podcast going. You got new things coming up. So proud of you too. And you inspire me just as much as I inspire you. Like I said, I don't verbally talk all the time, but it's definitely inspiring to see you take new avenues and take, these new things and bring them to life. So
I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. Make sure y'all check him out. Make sure if y'all a dancer or just inspired by music or anything, y'all head to his page. Make sure y'all kids sign up. Y'all young adults, make sure you sign up. That shit about to go big, man. Get on the train before it leaves your ass.
Get on the train.
With that being said, brother, I appreciate you. I love you, man.
Appreciate you too.
It's another episode of Culture Shock. We out of here.